Sorry, Five. Sorry, I can't hear you. Is that something I've done?
I can't hear too.
Same here with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got you now.
Hello, everyone.
Yep. Okay, I can hear. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hello.
Okay, so let's start our today's session with the recap of yesterday's discussion. Can anybody help me that what we covered yesterday?
We finished off the roles.
Yep.
And I guess what stood out for me was around agile. It was a really
Yep.
good introduction.
Yep.
And understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. So if we talk about agile component, what do you think about being agile and doing agile? What's the right way to do agile project management or agile way of working?
Being agile.
Yes, that's basically the mindset. Firstly, we must adopt the mindset, embrace it, and in fact also advocate it within the team and among other teams within the organization. We should have a good understanding of agile values. What do you think, Tanya? Do these agile values make some sense?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out for me is that they're very team and people oriented.
Yep.
So very empowering, self-managing, and good communication is probably key for the whole pack.
Here, one important thing is like sometimes people say that, okay, last value is responding to change, then following a plan. It means that in agile way of project management, we really don't do any plan. It's not true. We do a lot of planning, but at a micro level for each iteration level. So I would say that the planning in agile is much more detailed, much better than we do in the waterfall method. And another important component is like our focus is more on the working solutions that are more beneficiaries to the customers, to the consumers, to the clients as compared to those comprehensive documentation. Though there are always regulatory or quality and compliance requirements that we should do proper documentation. Agile really doesn't stop anyone doing the documentation, but this mindset says that our focus should be on the working product. And the values which are shown here in this diagram, they are specifically written for software industry. As agile is going beyond software, everybody is writing their own values. For example, people working in the education sector, they wrote their own values. The people who worked in the product development sector, for example, mechanical products or electronics product, they wrote their own version of core agile values. This was one example of agile methods, and I hope that everybody understands that Scrum is just one method of agile, like many other methods available of doing agile project management. What do you think, guys? What we do in agile, Grace?
Hi.
Hi, Grace.
So, what do you mean by what we do with agile or agile?
Do you understand that how Scrum process works? Firstly, what we do, and then how we move in the Scrum process?
Yes, so Scrum process is just a methodology inside an agile approach.
Yep.
And it appears like it's got sort of its own cycle that it follows, and a series of processes inside it, and some of the process or steps like the daily scrum is not being followed, and then some because it's somewhat like doesn't apply to a particular project team, but it also appears that scrum process is industry based, or a department based, or let's say a department or a particular project that's can be actually very much applicable to that project. Yes, that's how I understood about Scrum.
And also normally Scrum method is very effective for the teams, or you can say at the team level, not at the enterprise level where there are multiple teams working together. So this process particularly works best when we have a team, and we prefer that this team size should be small, 6 to 10 people maximum. That's the range. And normally we have around 8 people in a Scrum team. We also talked about 3 roles on Scrum. Myra, what were those roles?
The three main roles for Scrum is the product owner,
Yep.
Scrum Master, and
Yep.
then the developers.
And the developers, true. And developers could be anyone who is developing the product. Also, we talked about many different ceremonies or many different meetings. In fact, in Scrum, there are 5 meetings. The first one is product backlog development. The second one is sprint planning meetings. The third one is daily Scrum meetings. Fourth one are sprint review meetings. And the last one is sprint retrospective meetings. Once you adopt Scrum, it is highly recommended that you should do all those meetings. Product backlog, when you write down all of your requirements in the form of user stories. Sprint backlog or sprint planning meeting, when team pick the top or prioritized user stories from product backlog and do planning and do estimation, do sizing for each of the user stories. And then there comes daily Scrum that talks about that team collaborate with each other. They share that what each of the member, they tell that what he did yesterday, what he or she is doing tomorrow, and if there is any impediment or obstacle on the way, how can they really don't discuss how to resolve it. They just mention it that that's the obstacle, that's the impediment that I need to resolve with the help of maybe other team members or with the Scrum Master. Then fourth meeting, fourth ceremony is sprint review. Here basically team present their work to the stakeholders. Stakeholders could be product owner, could be functional managers, could be client, who basically look at the work of the Scrum team and either accept or reject that work, and also provide the feedback so that next time things could be further improved. In fact, in Agile, the feedback cycles are very short. And you remember that feedback cycles are only 1 to 4 weeks. And here I'm just talking about the feedback that is coming from the external stakeholders or from the clients or from the product owner. In fact, the feedback cycle in Agile way of working is even shorter than days. They are at the level of seconds and minutes. There are many different practices that normally Agile or Scrum teams adopt. One of this practice is called pair programming, and if you don't talk in terms of programming or software development, they call it pairing. So pairing is where a pair works on each task together. One is doing that task, other is quality assuring that task. So in Agile, they believe in a very short cycle of feedback for the sake of improvement. The last ceremony was sprint retrospectives. Here, team sits together. Scrum Master also sits, but he or she really doesn't interfere, but just facilitate the process. Product owner normally doesn't sit in sprint retrospectives because here team is doing self-reflection, and self-reflection about three things. Eamon, what do you think? What were those three things? It looks like Eamon is not here. Anybody else? Anybody remember what we do in retrospective?
Feedback into backlog,
Yeah,
lessons learned,
yeah,
and yes, the ways to.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the people, relationships, and processes, or
yeah,
those three
people,
things?
yeah, people, product, and processes.
Processes, yeah.
Yeah, true. So that's our focus, and basically about each of them, we talk about that what went well in the last sprint or last iteration, what didn't go well, and how to improve it. In fact, there are 5 stages of each retrospectives. Uh, the first stage is basically start, or you can say warm up. People do proper stage setting in the first stage. In the second stage, data is gathered. In the third stage, insights are generated based on this data. And then in the fourth stage, improvements are discussed or action points are decided. And at the last stage, meeting is closed on a high note. Any questions about these stages?
Not from me, thank you.
We also talked about Scrum Master, that a Scrum Master is normally not a project manager. He or she really doesn't manage the team. Team is self-managed, self-directed, self-organized. The task of Scrum Master or Agile coach is, on one side, to facilitate the process, facilitate the whole Scrum process so that that could be executed properly, or facilitate the whole Kanban process that could be executed properly. On the other side, he or she shows servant leadership. Servant leadership talks about prevent the team from the interruptions, remove impediments from the progress, and communicate and recommunicate the vision of the product so that team's focus should remain towards product vision, and also provide all the resources and facilities, or in other words, carry food and water. Here, when we talk about Agile, in fact, Agile could be divided into 2 categories. These 2 categories are, one is time boxed Agile. From name, you can see that time boxed Agile means we implement Agile with the help of time boxed iterations or time boxed sprints, as we have seen in the example of Scrum. Similarly, XP or extreme programming is another method for time-boxed agile. Another type of agile is called flow-based agile. When we talk about flow-based agile, basically, we really don't have any fixed iterations or fixed time iterations of 1 or 2 weeks. But we practice agile, we adopt agile mindset, but we use a different method. And the example of that method is Kanban. In Kanban, we really don't run the sprints, but we keep on doing our tasks. And after a particular milestone, we go for product demo or product review. After a certain time, we don't fix that time again. After a certain time, team decide that let's go for the retrospective meetings. I believe that most of you have already seen Kanban boards. A very standard, a high level Kanban board is of 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done.
Result or done.
Yes. Yeah, and done. In fact, the to do component is your product backlog, as we have seen in the previous slide. In progress is, it could be any phase. In fact, in progress section could be divided into multiple columns, and each column can show you one phase. For example, analysis, design, implementation, and testing. And the done column talks about when you, after analysis, designing, implementing, and testing, when you create your feature, then you show it to the customer. Once customer accept that feature, then you can say that it's done. Until customer or client or product owner doesn't accept the feature, it always remain in progress. Any question about that? Let's move further. After doing some initial discussions around agile and hybrid methods, we shifted back towards waterfall method, and we start talking about again the process groups. It was initiating, and how initiating is started, what could be the reasons, what could be the entry points to go into this process group, this activity group. And then we talked about planning process groups, process group. And after that, we talked about executing process group, monitoring and controlling. And at the end, we talked about closing process group. And we also saw different activities that could be done in closing process group. Today, we are just going to cover this slide. This slide is a high-level overview of PMI framework, or you can say that PMI processes and how they are interlinked with each other, and what's the flow of any waterfall project, any waterfall-based project. Now, firstly, please see here. Here, this section is initiating. And then this section is planning processes. This section is, this section is executing. This section talks about monitoring and controlling, and the last section talks about closing processes. What I am going to do, I am going to discuss all of 49 processes as per their existence in the process groups. And we will skim through each process. We'll see that what activities we do in each process and how work flows through each process using waterfall approach. If you remember, we talked about initiating, and we said that there are 2 processes in the initiating process group. The first process is develop project charter. We have already seen that the develop project charter is when we are basically starting our project. If you remember, we also saw different inputs for the develop project charter. You guys also told me that those inputs could be business case, and other input we talked about that could be benefits management plan. In fact, when project is not started, or you can say that it's pre-project phase, business analysts and senior managers, they work together to develop the business case. Business case is normally developed based on identification of the problem or the opportunity, and by assessing the current and future state of the organization. And then after doing all that work, business analysts, they propose different solutions. After that, uh, those different solutions, proposed solutions, are evaluated by senior management, and based on a particular criteria, a decision is made that which proposed solution will suit the best. There could be only one solution that could be chosen. There could be more than one solution, mean 1 to 2 solutions that could be chosen. Then we do further analysis. In fact, business analysts, they do further analysis on those solutions. They conduct feasibility analysis. They conduct financial analysis on the recommended proposed solutions. After that, they try to develop a high-level product roadmap or solution roadmap that acquaint the senior management that, okay, if we are going for a particular solution, how this solution will be implemented. Again, these things are at a very high level. Once product roadmap is done, then business analysts, they develop the business case. In fact, business case consists of all the activities I just told you, mean problem or opportunity identification, current organization, current state assessment of the organization, future state assessment of the organization, and proposed solutions, feasibility studies, financial studies or financial analysis, all these combine together to make a business case. Also, BAs, along with business cases, they develop benefits management plan. Benefits management plan talk about that, okay, if we are going to invest on a particular initiatives, what benefits will be produced, what value will be produced, and how can we measure that value? How can we measure those benefits? In fact, benefits management plan is also part of business case. So business case plus benefits management plan, they are two inputs of develop project charter. Two more inputs for develop project charter are EEF and OPAs. As I mentioned earlier, that OPAs and EFs, they are inputs for most of the initiating and planning processes. Now, do you remember what are EFs and OPAs?
The enterprise environmental factors,
Yep.
which I think we broke down into internal and external.
Yep.
And organization process assets.
Yeah, those assets that are useful for the project teams. So that project should be aligned as per the organizational compliance and quality requirements. They could be processes, procedures, policies, templates, organizational knowledge repositories, lesson learned, subject matter experts, and so on, so forth. So these are 4 inputs for develop project charter. Based on these inputs, we apply different tools and techniques so that we can develop our output. That is nothing but our project charter. Variety of different tools and techniques could be applied. One example of those tools and techniques is called expert judgment. Expert judgment talks about uh, by reviewing business case, by considering enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets, the project sponsors, the BAs, other senior managers, and if project manager is assigned, they basically apply their expert judgment so that they can develop the project charter. When we say project charter, you can think of project charter is nothing but a birth certificate of any project. Project is born when project charter is developed. Previously, if you remember that I told you that project charter is nothing but 2 to 3 page document. Even for large size projects, the project charter is always on a very high level. It contains many different fields. For example, title of the project, objectives of the projects, uh, high level scope, very high level scope. That could be maybe in the form of a statement, a very small statement, a paragraph, what we are going to do in this project. A high level budget that we are going to fix 10 million for this project. High level schedule, for example, that may talk about that we are going to complete this project in 2 years of time. Also, it include high level risks, key stakeholders, and success criteria. Success criteria talks about that what would be the conditions under which we will say that our project is successful. Another tool and technique along with expert judgment is meetings. Meetings are where normally discussions are made and discussions are done and decisions are made. So meeting is also a technique where senior management and project sponsor, they come together and they develop the project charter. An important field of project charter is the name of the project manager who is going to manage the project. Normally, in organizations where there are already project teams, people already know that who are the project managers. But in some cases, we might not have project manager. In that case, we might need to get that project manager from project management department, or if he or she is not available, we might need to hire the project manager. But this work is done when we are developing our project charter. And other field of project charter is pre-assigned resources. Here I'm talking about human resources or our project team. Sometimes, or in fact, most of the times when there are established project management departments and they normally do the projects, team members are already assigned. They already know that that's my team and we are going to start our work. One output of this process is project charter, whereas second output is assumption log. Assumption logs are our key assumptions that we make about the project. Sometimes we put assumptions in a separate log. Sometimes we make assumptions as a part of project charter. Any question?
That's fine.
So let's move further. Then there comes our second process. This process is identify stakeholders. Identification of stakeholder is very, very important. It is highly recommended that stakeholders should be identified as early as possible, and we prefer that we should be able to identify most of the stakeholders early in the project, because if stakeholders would be identified late, there are strong chances that there will be changes in the project scope. So that's why identify stakeholders is added in the initiating process group. Once project is initiated, the second stage is planning stage. In planning, we do a very thorough planning for the whole project and its different aspects. So here what we do is we develop our project management plan, and it's the responsibility of project manager to develop this plan. Output of this particular process is a project plan that is developed by project manager, but with the help of project team. If we will include the project team during planning, we will have not only better project plan because they are the subject matter experts. For example, if we will include design engineers or technicians or electricians and their feedback into our plan, then we will have very clear idea that how much time one work will take, how much money need to be spent, need to be assigned for one task, so on, so forth. In fact, when we talk about project management plan, I'm writing it as PMP. Project management plan is a combination of many different plans, and we are going to look into all of these plans one by one throughout our sessions. For example, scope management plan, SMP, is part of project management plan. Schedule management plan is part of project management plan. Cost management plan, quality management plan, communication management plan, resources management plan, stakeholder management plan, procurement and stakeholder management plan, and even many other plans. So project management plan is something thorough plan combination of many subsidiary plans. The first plan that is a part of project management plan is scope management plan. You can clearly see that this process that talks about plan scope management, output of this process is a scope management plan. Before talking about scope component of any project, what do you think, guys? What is a scope? Excuse me. Anyone? Pedro, what do you think?
I think the scope management plan is the limitation of the project, the boundary wherein and the objectives that the project wants to achieve.
Yeah. So basically, scope talks about those deliverables, those work items that need to be completed in any project, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, when we are planning for the scope, we talk about many different bits. We talk about that, okay, we are going to set our scope. That's the plan, okay? Uh, and in fact, planning means our thought process. We start thinking about the scope. We think about how we will gather the requirements, okay? How we will analyze the requirements, how we will prioritize the requirements so that we can add those high priority requirements in our project scope. Remember guys, when we collect the requirements, we can collect these requirements from many different stakeholders, and stakeholders can provide a lot of different requirements, but it really doesn't mean that we can include all of them in our scope. So it means that once requirements are gathered or listed from stakeholders, we should analyze them and we should prioritize them so that only top priority requirements could be added into our scope. Once top priority requirements are identified, the next step is we normally write a scope statement. Scope statement is basically a statement that talks about that this is a project and that's what we are going to do in this project. And there are few components we are not going to include in this project. Mean what is in scope, what is out of scope, and then also we bullet point the key deliverables. This is called our scope statement. When we are planning for our scope, we not only think about requirements, but after that, we also think that how we will represent those top priority requirements in the form of a scope statement. We really doesn't stop here, doesn't stop thinking here. We also go to next level and we talk about once our scope statement is established, the next step is to develop a work breakdown structure. I believe that most of you are well aware of work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is nothing but decomposition of our scope into more manageable components. We are going to talk about work breakdown structure soon. During planning of our scope, we also think about few more bits. One of them is once scope is planned, once our work breakdown structure is established, what would be the process through which change could be made in the scope? Similarly, what would be the way through which we will validate our scope? Also, how can we control our scope so that our scope should be developed according to our scope baseline? All the thinking process about scope is done in this plan scope management. And as an output, what we get? How to manage our scope or our scope plan. Then there comes our next process, and collect requirement process is done by following our scope management plan. In scope management plan, we define that how we will collect the requirements, what type of requirements we will collect. There are many different type of requirements. Do you guys share with me, what do you think, what could be different type of requirements? Anyone?
I think uh, project documents, business documents, could be something we need to collect for to get the requirements documents with that we need, and maybe organization process that we need become considered as the inputs of the collect requirements.
In fact, what happened is up till this point, we had many things, but at a very top level. We had a very good understanding about the initiative on which we are doing our investment. And that understanding comes from business case. Project charter is birth certificate of the project and assigning of the resources and the project manager. We have good idea about that, what would be our team, what would be budget or schedule, but on a very high level. We also identified as many stakeholders as possible, and we created, for example, a stakeholder register that contain all the information about the stakeholders. Then once initiation is done, now we are going towards planning stage. We are developing our project management plan. Project management plan itself is nothing but the combination of many subsidiary plans. In fact, for a big project, there could be around 13 to 14 different plans that could be part of a project management plan. And one of the plan is scope management. How we are going to plan, how we are going to manage our scope. When we talk about scope are basically project deliverables, what we are going to deliver as a result of our project completion. Okay, now how we will set the scope? Normally scope is set when we collect the requirements. On this stage, we collect the requirements in a detailed manner. Okay. In fact, project manager who is leading the project, they collect these requirements with the help of BS. This is one of the major tasks for any business analyst to collect or elicit the requirements. My question was that what are different type of requirements that could be gathered by the project team, or you can say BS?
Go for
Go
gold,
ahead.
Tanya. No, go for gold.
I haven't heard your voice for a while. Go ahead. I like it. Okay, just the customer expectations and requirements, maybe specifications on quality.
Yeah, so we can say that stakeholder requirements, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so customers are our stakeholders. Their requirements are important part of our total requirements. Any other requirements?
Okay. Well, in our case, just based on experience as well, during the charter development, then or business case, the sales team, solutions architect will have already determined the requirements.
Oh.
And say, for instance, this particular customer needs a SIP trunk service or a WAN service, and then security, cloud security. Now, they currently have other services, you know, that they have, that they are being serviced by another company, but these are the only 3 items that is covered within the project charter or scoped by our sales management team. So then as a project manager, then we will collect the data or the requirements only based on those that have been scoped in the project. Relative to those 3 items only. And customers will be very good at providing all the information, even though they are irrelevant.
Yeah. So basically that's the thing. So that's what I was talking about. So in case when there are external clients, they already provide you a lot of requirements. Few of them are very relevant. Few of them could be even irrelevant, but they provide you everything. And as if project is an external project or client's project, in that case, requirements may come from the clients. Okay, there is no doubt about it. And they might be already much more detailed. Then you look on those details, on those stakeholder requirements. From there, what you do is you normally determine the functional requirements. Functional requirements are basically, you just talked about that they need a van, okay, or they need a data center, or they need something else. In fact, again, these requirements are at a very high level that could be further broken down into very detailed requirements. So from stakeholders, we normally get our functional requirements, and they also talk about non-functional requirements, or we call them NFRs, that is security, robustness, speed, so on and so forth. Sometimes we also call these type of requirements quality of service requirements. Similarly, depending on the nature of the project, we might have transition requirements. Transition requirements are when project outcomes needed to be handed over to the operational teams. In that case, what could be the different transition requirements? For example, training needs, or maybe some other tricks through which few deliverables of the projects could be used, so on and so forth. In fact, what we do is we divide our requirements into 5 main categories. I already mentioned stakeholder requirements. Then second category is functional requirements. Third is non-functional requirements, and the last one is transition requirements. Remember, it's not compulsory that all of these categories are presented in each project, but we are looking on everything at a system level so that we should have a very clear understanding. One type of requirements are missing, and we call them business requirements. Business requirements are very, very high level requirements. So what happens is, project team, with the help of BAs, they gather all different type of requirements. When requirements are gathered, business analysts normally do a lot of work on those requirements. For example, they document it, they analyze it, they present it in a good form, they verify those requirements, they validate those requirements. After verification and validation, they also prioritize those requirements to be included into our project scope. Then there comes our next process, that is define scope. Output of this process is scope statement. And what scope statement contain? I already mentioned you what we are going to do in this project, what we are not going to do in this project, and what are the key deliverables of this project. Once our scope statement is written, the next step is create work breakdown structure. How many of you developed a work breakdown structure?
No, you developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, have done.
Yeah. So, Tanya, when you develop the work breakdown structure, what do you think? How it helped you to manage the project well? What do you think that what was the purpose of developing this work breakdown structure?
It was using scope and what the key deliverables needed to be, and then what tasks or activities needed to be delivered to deliver that deliverable. Oops, that word. And it gave really good sense for timeframes, the resources or the technical skills that were needed. So the work breakdown structure really just did the detail on tasks and activities.
Mhm. True. Fully agreed. So basically work breakdown structure, the purpose of developing this type of visual hierarchical chart. Normally work breakdown structure is a visual hierarchical chart. I am not going in depth of that chart. We will go in depth later. What we do is we basically break down or decompose our whole project. Consider it on level 1, we have project, name of the project. Okay. Yeah. We decompose our project into more manageable components. Firstly, on level 1, we put the project name. On level 2, we divide the project into phases. For example, phase 1, phase 2, phase sorry, I just need to minimize this. Phase 3, so on, so forth. Each project might have different phases. Then after that, each phase is further divided into multiple work packages. And these work packages, uh, which are at level 3, can further decomposed into more sub work packages. Why we keep on doing that? Why we keep on decomposing our whole project work into phases, then into work packages, then into sub work packages? Because we want that at the end we should have manageable work components or manageable work packages. So what happens is when we develop the whole work breakdown structure, at the bottom, at the last level, we normally have a list of work packages, but in the visual form. Okay, maybe a project is decomposed down to level 5 and we get 80 different work packages that need to be completed. It means if we complete all these 80 work packages, can we say that our project is completed or not? So basically,
Yes.
yeah, it helps us to manage our project in a much more better and visual manner. There are many other benefits of work breakdown structure, but I'm not going in depth of them. We will go in depth when we will be studying this process in much more detail. Let's move further. Once our work breakdown structure is established, our all the sorry, I need to erase all that. Our all the planning for the scope is done. The whole scope planning is done. The next stage is do our schedule planning. What happens in many different sectors, normally schedules are developed on MS Project or Primavera or any other software. And normally it is thought that this schedule is our project management plan. It's not the case. Schedule is very important tool. It's pretty important. In fact, our most of the communications are done based on our schedule, but schedule or schedule plan is just one plan of our project management plan. Under first process here, we think about how we are going to schedule our activities. We also think what methods will be used, what software will be used, what tools will be used to develop an appropriate, or you can say realistic schedule. So all the thought process is done here. And this thought process also thinks about that, okay, we already got 80 work packages. Remember, these are work packages. That's the work. That are not the activities. Now to do each work package, for example, work package 1, okay, to complete this work package, what activities we need to do? A work package could be completed with the help of one activity. It could also be completed with the help of, for example, 5 or 7 activities. But this is very important to understand. Work packages define the scope, and work packages are our uh, work that need to be completed. They are not our activities. They doesn't come under our schedule. Does it make some sense?
Maybe just, this is just looking at what capability you need to handle the size of the project or the work packages. Is that what we're considering here?
Yeah, so basically here what we are talking, here we are talking about what activities, what tasks we need to do to complete each of the work package. For example, if one work package is recruitment, uh, staff recruitment, what activities need to be done? Maybe advertisement is one activity, gathering and analyzing CV another activity, conducting interview stage 1 another activity, stage 2 is the next activity, and then selection of the candidate is last activity. But what was work package? The recruitment of a particular staff. But we do 4 or 5 activities for this type of work to be completed. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we do is
Yeah.
we do all the thinking process here in this first process. Uh, According to this plan, we define the activities for all the work packages. And as the output, what we get an activity list. This list is thorough list of all the activities for all the work packages. During our planning, not only we define the activities, but also we sequence the activities. Initially, we say that, okay, we need to do this activity, this activity, this activity to complete a work package. But later, based on the dependencies, that could be hard dependencies, that could be soft dependencies, we sequence the activities, that which activity we will do first, which activity we will do next. Maybe you heard about start to finish, finish to start, start to start. This type of terminologies when you set your schedule. We will discuss more in detail, but here in this third process of scheduling, after defining all the activities, we make the sequence between the activities. We determine the dependencies between the activities. After that, we determine the duration of each activity. Estimation of activity duration talks about 3 components. How much time it will take, when should we start it, when should we finish it. So far what has been done, our thought process is done, our activities are defined, they are sequenced, and their duration including start and end date are determined. Once this work is done, we develop the schedule. Uh, Schedule development is a thorough process. It uses many different tools and techniques to develop a realistic schedule uh, that we can confidently say that, okay, our project will be completed within this schedule. We have to use many different optimization techniques on the schedule, many different compression techniques on the schedule. For example, resource compression techniques, and many other techniques. In fact, we will go in depth of those techniques later. So here our whole schedule is established, maybe on MS Project, Primavera, or some new software that are available in the market. Whole planning for the schedule is done at this point. After that, we go for our next knowledge area or our next domain, that is cost. And the first process is again the same, our third process, how to plan the cost, how to manage the cost. Output of this process is a cost management plan, and this plan is like any other plan, is a part of our project management plan. This plan talks about that for each of the activity, how much cost is required. So we estimate the cost for each of the activity that we develop in our schedule. And then if we aggregate all the costs of all the activities using a bottom-up approach, we can determine budget. Okay. Once budget is determined, our cost planning is done. Now we have to use that cost, we have to spend that cost, and we have to control that cost. That will come later. The next stage is planning for the quality. We develop not only our quality management plan in this process, but also we determine the quality matrices, the measurements that we will make to measure the quality. Normally, this work is done by the project manager with the help of quality department. Once planning for the quality is done, the next stage is we think about our resources. Remember, guys, it is shown in a waterfall way, but this approach is not really waterfall. It is pretty iterative, it is pretty fluid. It's not compulsory that you must firstly plan for scope and then schedule, then cost, then quality, then resources. In fact, many things are going hand in hand. Many things are running in parallel. Okay. Here we are just discussing step by step for our own understanding. After developing quality management plan, we start thinking about our resource management plan. And again, we think about both human resource or our team and our physical resources. When we say physical resources, that could be infrastructure, could be facilities, could be anything. We will talk about physical resources in more detail later. Here, when we are planning for our resources, we always keep in mind that what are different activities on our schedule so that we can get the right resources for each of the activity. So it means that we think about resources for each of the activities. Again, the doers and the physical resources. Once that work is done, our resource planning is done, the next stage is to think about how we will do the communications, because we already identified our resources, we already identified our stakeholders. Now develop an effective communications plan through which we can engage our resources, our stakeholders as per their needs. We will go in depth of communication and its planning later. After doing communication management plan, the next stage is let's start thinking about the risks. Risks are very, very important. They were that much important that in most of the project meetings, in fact, in all of the project meetings, we should always talk about risks. What are the risks on the project? how many risks are mitigated, how many risks are still left on the project. Now, when we are thinking about risk or risk management plan, basically we think about what's the way, what's the technique or method through which we will identify the risks and their origins or their sources. Once risks are identified, the next step is uh, conducting a qualitative analysis on the risks. We will go in depth of qualitative analysis when we will discuss our risk management chapter. After conducting qualitative risk analysis, if there is still requirement for the more analysis, then we can also conduct quantitative risk analysis. On most of the projects, only qualitative risk analysis is done. However, if project is very risky, when there are very strong regulatory requirements or where human life is at risk or our essential money is at risk, then we might need to do much more detailed analysis, and we call that analysis quantitative risk analysis. In fact, this process, qualitative risk analysis, determines that do we need to do quantitative risk analysis or not. Once our all type of analysis is done, now we have very clear understanding about our risks. What can we do? We can develop the risk responses, how to address each risk and who will be responsible to manage each risk response. Once planning for the risk is done, the next stage is planning for the procurement. And again, guys, really don't think that procurement must be done after doing all that work. Sometimes, or in fact, most of the time, procurement is done early in the project because we have to think about the lead time as well. I mean, how much time it will take for the goods to arrive to our site. So sometimes procurement is done earlier than many other things. Similarly, if we need services, we need contractors, we start this process much earlier. And then there comes the last process of the planning process group, and it is how to engage the stakeholders, how to make the stakeholders supportive of the project. If not supportive, at least neutral with the project. What are the stakeholder needs? How can we monitor, how can we plan to engage different stakeholders based on their importance on the project? And that's end of our planning domain. In fact, all these plans we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They all combine together to become our project management plan. That's why project management plan is in the knowledge area called integration. Integration is basically integration or sum of all other knowledge areas. Any question, guys? Should we move to next?
Yep.
Excuse me. Then there comes our executing process group. This is the most important process group. Here, most of the time, most of the money is spent, and it is that important that almost 1/3 of the questions will come from the executing process group. However, it has only 10 processes. It means if you can understand these 10 processes well, you can get your 62 questions correct. The first process of executing is direct and manage project work. Once plan is established, the main task of any project manager is keep on talking with the project team so that keep on giving them uh, different work as per the schedule developed during the planning. Maybe you heard about work authorization systems. Anybody of you used work authorization systems? So what is work authorization system? Where we put all of our plan, all of our schedule, and project managers always keep on using on those work authorization systems early in the morning. What work needs to be done today, who is the responsible, if he or she is on time or not, when he is starting, so on and so forth. The whole work, the direction and the management of that project work is carried out by the project manager. Along with this, project manager keep on managing project knowledge. In fact, in PMBOK version 5, manage project knowledge process was not there. Okay. However, everybody know that now new economy is a knowledge economy. New economy is the data economy. In fact, data is more powerful than oil. He who have more knowledge, more information, more data, he got the more power. Uh, Most of the decisions are made based on the data, the information, the knowledge. It means that now it's a responsibility of project manager that he should manage the project, manage the knowledge that is produced as a result of project management activities. It's one of his main tasks. Also, project manager need to assure quality on the project. Again, this work could be done with the help of quality assurance team members, but ultimate responsibility of project deliverables quality lies with the project manager. So he or she should know that how to manage quality on project. In fact, project manager does it by following quality management plan. Along with this, once here at this stage, once proper planning for the resources is done, the next stage is how to get those resources. If resources are pre-assigned or resources are available within the organization, or we need to hire the resources from outside. And once resources are acquired, the next stage is these resources are just resources. They didn't become a team. How to convert the individuals into the team? What different activities, what different organizational theories, motivational theories could be applied so that we can convert these individuals into motivated team members. Once team become motivated, high performing, then project manager just have to manage that team. And that is basically day-to-day activities of any project manager to manage the team, resolve their issues, and do their appraisals, so on, so forth, getting status reports, progress reports, or forecastings, etc. Also, it's manager's responsibility to manage the communications. Manage the communication mean that the plan that was developed in the communication management plan here in this process, now project manager needs to follow that plan and have to conduct communications accordingly. How frequent should be communications? What are the right medium for the communications? How many meetings need to be done? How to communicate with the senior managers? How to communicate with the client? How frequent we need to communicate with the client? All those things are developed in the plan, and in managed communication, we just follow that plan. Also, project manager Once our risk management planning is done, uh, strategies are developed, responses are developed. The next stage is keep an eye on the risks. Keeping an eye is basically process of monitoring and controlling. We are going to look at it soon, but uh, as we are keeping an eye on the risks, once a risk triggers, okay, we implement the risk response, and it's the responsibility of project manager with the help of team member to implement the predefined risk response. Also, if procurement is required, uh, manager need to work closely with the procurement department if there is any, and conduct the procurement. This procurement could be for the goods, could be for the services. And also, as project manager is managing communication, he or she also need to manage the stakeholder engagements, so that all the stakeholders should be on board. They should be properly communicated. They should be, their requirements are properly managed. In fact, the executing and monitoring and controlling process groups, they are very fluid, very interactive, and they run in parallel. Mean, on one end, where we are managing the project, at the same time we are monitoring and controlling the project. It means when we are directing and manage the project work, we are monitoring and controlling the project work too. Okay, and we will go in depth and we'll see that what activities we do while monitoring and controlling the project work. Along with this, we also keep an eye on the changes. If changes come on the project scope or schedule, it's our responsibility to analyze those changes, present our findings, our analysis result about the changes to the change control board or any decision maker who can make decision about the changes. And if those changes are accepted by the change control board, then we have to implement those changes in an integrated fashion. And we will talk about integrated fashion in more details when we will be covering this process. Validate scope. In fact, when I talked about scope management planning, not only I talked about gathering requirements, defining scope, creating work breakdown structure, I also talk about validation of a scope. Validation of a scope is mostly done by the client, by the customer, or by the product owner or the project sponsor. And what we check here, we check that if we ask to produce, for example, deliverable 1, is it developed, is it produced as per the acceptance criteria or not? For example, if uh, if we take the example of a room, that a room should be built in a house that is uh, three bedroom house. If that room is developed as per the requirements or not, client basically go and check that room and confirm that that's what he or she wants. So validation of scope is normally done by the client. Along with this, project manager also need to control the scope. Control scope and validate scope, they are similar terms, but their meanings are different. Validation is done by the client, whereas scope control is done by the project manager with the help of quality control team. And the purpose of this process is to keep on checking that whatever we are developing, if that is as per our scope or not. Project manager also control the schedule, and if there is any variation of the schedule from its baseline, then he or she take immediate action. Project manager also control the costs. They always keep an eye on the costs. In fact, they use variety of different methods through which they can monitor and control their schedule, their cost, their scope. We will talk about those methods in much more detail in the later sessions. Then there comes control quality. Control quality talks about that once deliverables are produced, they are tested, they are evaluated as per our quality requirements by the quality department or quality team members on our project. Control resources here, control resources mean control the use of physical resources. Monitor communication. In fact, manage communications and monitor communications, they work together. On one end, project manager is doing all the communication, but also keeping an eye on how this communication is going, how effective is this communication, do we need to improve or not. All those things are done under monitor communications. Monitor risks, as we said that when we develop our risk response in the planning stage, the next thing we do is we keep an eye on the risks. We keep an eye on the triggers that tell us that, okay, this risk may occur, and then we implement our risk response. Then there comes control procurement. Once conduct procurement is done, or a portion of conduct procurement is done, then we need to ensure that those procurements, either they are contractors or goods, they are being used or they are doing the work as per the requirements of the project. Monitor stakeholder engagement. Again, manage and monitor stakeholder engagement, they go hand in hand. We keep an eye that whatever activities we are doing, if we are engaging our stakeholders in an appropriate way, in a way that our stakeholders are supportive to the project, or at least they are neutral to the project. So this is monitoring and controlling. And then there comes our last process group, and it is closing. It has only one process, and its name is close project or a phase. Why the word phase is here? As previously we discussed, in large projects, as Grace gave one example of a large project, there could be the whole phase that needs to be closed so that next phase of the project could be started. In fact, in our previous slides, we have seen that though this process is just one process, but we do a lot of different activities in this process. And we discussed those activities. We said that during closing process, we check that if all the requirements are met, if all the paperwork is finalized, all the invoices for the contractors are paid, all the project delivers are accepted, feedback is received from the client. If there is some work that needs to be transferred to the operations team, it's done, so on and so forth. Now, this was the whole overview of all 49 processes. What do you think, guys? Does it make some sense?
Yes.
It makes sense. It's quite large, isn't it, when you look at it like that?
Yeah.
How does that compare to Agile?
Yeah, true. Thanks, Tanya. Okay, guys. Now, what we are going to do as a last activity, basically there is a game that you need to play. And the game is, you have just seen here that in closing, we have just one process, but we do a lot of different activities under this process. So what happened is, there was a lady, her name was Rita Mulke. She was one of the pioneers PMP. Once when she did her PMP back in 1980s, she found out that there are not enough resources available for the project managers to prepare themselves for the PMP exam. For that sake, she established a learning solution uh, company in 1991. Now she passed away in 2013, but that company still exists. What they did is they established one game. Okay, that game talk about, they call it Rita process game. In fact, what Rita did is, instead of looking on the process as we are looking here, okay, she looked on the processes in a different way. For example, here in initiating, we have only two processes, but we do a lot of different activities when we are starting a project. Similarly, in closing, there is only one process, but we do a lot of different activities. Similarly, she determined that what activities a project manager needs to do when he or she is planning, what activities he or she needs to do when he is executing the project or monitoring and controlling the project. So what you need to do is, I am going to send you the link uh, of that game. Okay, and I want you guys to work in a group of two and play that game. It will take around 30 minutes. And once you finish playing that game, we will come back and we will see that how did it go. So I am going to put you in breakout rooms where two persons would be there in each group, and you guys can play that game. Is it all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just give me a second and let me find out the link for the Rita process game. By the way, you can also find this link by yourself. Okay. So also I'm putting you in breakout rooms and I'm going to put it randomly. Assign automatically. Is it fine?
Sure, I don't know how to work the machine, but that's okay.
Yeah. So let's do it. Okay. It looks like there are total 5 people. One is missing. So let me put Ayman to another group. Okay, so 2 and move to room 1 and Pedro to room 1. Okay, so
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm
High
here.
fives.
Hi Grace. So what I did is I put the link in the chat. Can you go and open it?
Does everyone need to do it or just one?
I think one person can do it, and I'm allowing multiple share screen. Mean you can also share the screen, and one person can just open it. Other people can discuss with each other, and and can do the you can play the game. So let's start playing it, and I will be here. And if you have any question, I will be there to answer.
All right. You want to do the honors, Grace?
Yeah, okay. So I've clicked on the link. Share screen, isn't it?
Hello, Myra and Pedro.
Hey, guys.
So
Otherwise,
did you get the link in the chat?
Uh,
Just click on the chat.
yeah,
where can we find that?
not yet, Face.
Yes. So there is a link given. One of you can click on this link. Okay. It will open a web page where there is this game, and you have to discuss with each other and play this game.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Um,
figure out where can I find the link, guys.
Can you find out where there are
Chat?
participants chat? Yeah. So go to chat.
Yeah, but I can see any link, Face.
Yeah. So once link is open, yeah, here Myra. So click on this link. Okay. Once this link is open, the next stage is share the screen and
Right.
share this particular screen, and then discuss with each other and play this game.
Okay,
Yeah, I will be around and will keep on answering you.
cool. You will be sending that link, Faiz, is it? Or have you sent it yet?
Yeah, it's already there. Can you see it?
I can't.
No.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Is it there?
Yeah, I just saw it now.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
opening. Okay, I think this one. I'm trying to share.
Yes.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right.
So it's here. So if you go at the bottom, you can click on the start, process chart, game cards, click
Yep.
anywhere to go to the game. Yeah, now you are here. Okay. Now you can clearly see that there are 5 columns. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you can also see that there are some activities. For example, I can see that gain formal approval of the plan. What do you think that where should it go? Initiating, planning, or
Right.
yeah, executing,
Right.
monitoring, controlling, or closing? Where do you think?
Gain formal approval of the plan. I think that's under.
So keep on playing, guys. You can
Okay,
discuss
cool.
with each other. I'm going to next room.
Okay, thanks, Faiz.
Cheers.
Executing as well.
Execute, yeah.
Negotiate with contract sellers.
Yeah.
There you go. High fives.
Hi.
Bring this one.
How is it going?
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
All done. Yeah. There are only like around 100 activities that you need to do.
Yeah.
There's like what, 3? We've done 3 so
Okay.
follow processes. Where do you want to put it?
Follow
Execute.
That will be.
I think monitoring, I don't know, maybe monitoring is
I think monitoring as well, just to, I think it's to make sure whether we are following the processes required. Reckon?
yeah, I think
Give
so.
it
It's
go.
monitoring. I think so.
Oops. Oh, no. What did you say earlier, Tanya?
Executing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Processes.
Because it was
Okay.
follow processes, not monitoring of the processes. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Execute. Follow this keyword. Next, measure performance against other metrics in the project management plan. Oh, there's the magic word in there, isn't it?
So
Measure performance.
monitoring. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Inform stakeholders of all change request results. That'll be communication.
communication. Yeah, but we
Almost a monitor and control thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Inform stakeholders of all change, but it can also be execution of communication
Yeah, it can be.
of all change request results. Where do you want to put it? Let's try this.
Yeah, try executing. So it's managed communication.
No, that will be that.
monitoring. Yeah,
Mm.
Alrighty. Determine development.
planning. I think
Approach, life cycle, and, yeah.
planning, right?
Planning, yep.
Yeah, understand the business case, benefits, management plan.
Plan
Oh,
as
so
planning as well.
you can
Or
just
was
planning
it,
or initiation.
initiating?
Let's have a look at the top. The first one's initiating. You reckon? I think so.
Yeah, because that's used for project charter, isn't it?
Yeah. Hang on, I didn't push it. There you go. Request changes. Oh, that's execution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And team charter roles. Initiating.
Oh, that's pretty.
The team charter or project charter.
Oh, wow.
Planning.
It's not. Determine team charter and all roles and responsibilities. Yeah, that would be planning then.
Yeah.
You'd think it'll be part of the initiation, isn't it?
I guess the trick was the team rather than project.
Yeah, because that's roles and responsibilities, not necessarily the stakeholders, isn't it? Shuffle card. We've done that already. Influence the factors that cause change.
This one monitoring
That-
maybe.
Yeah, because there's more of that controlling part in
Yes.
by influencing the factors. You reckon, Tanya?
Yeah, it's a tricky one in between executing and that. There you go. Good luck.
Seems like there's just that key word or words, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Yes.
that's a little tricky.
Yes.
Gather work performance data. Work performance data. So there are those
Monitoring and controlling.
Monitoring control. Sure.
seems like planning to me, but let's give it a go. Yeah, let's try planning. Oh, execution. There's nothing else left anyway to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember those, I would have thought those the planning to gather this collection of data. Anyway,
because this one performance should be after planning. I think it's like when the work started, we have performance. That's what.
right, yeah, so there,
Yeah, I guess
we've
it's
already
good
collected,
directly managed.
we've already collected the data, and then we're sort of analyzing the data.
Yeah,
That's why it's an execution, but it's just that word it says gather, isn't it? It's quite tricky.
yeah, because the work performance, you could be doing it in the planning stage to understand what performance is needed or what outcome is coming out of it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Determine if variances warrant a corrective action or other change request. Yeah, looks like monitoring and controlling, isn't it?
Let's try that first. Define and prioritize requirements.
Planning.
Planning, yeah.
I think planning is, yeah, planning. I think.
Divide large projects into phases or smaller projects. That's different.
Planning.
Execution.
Define large projects.
No, that's planning.
No, it's monitoring and controlling.
No, must
Maybe.
be
Initiating.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Divide large project.
From our discussion, that was
You know, like I think, yeah, I think our thinking like either one step back or one step forth. That's we need to focus more. That's the thing.
Plan.
Yeah.
We like the word plan.
Yes, yeah. Maybe it's in here.
Yeah.
Give recognition
and reward.
Oh, that'll be execution, isn't it?
Well, it could be in closing or it could be execution.
Oh, yeah. So what was the closing? Yeah, activities in closing.
No, I think it was just close project phase. But
No,
that's
just close things.
Let's try that.
Things. We don't.
Yeah.
Monitoring maybe.
Monitoring.
Execution.
Yeah, execution. Execution. Give is the magic word in there, I guess.
This one closing.
as opposed to rewards, but you see there's recognition there. It's a recognition can be anywhere in the project, any stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, hand off completed product.
Close.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Facilitate stakeholder engagement and manage expectations.
Execution.
Yeah, that would be execution. Yeah. Develop
Planning.
schedule.
Yep. Planning.
Critical path. That would still be planning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Develop realistic, sufficient project management plan.
Planning.
Yeah.
Sometimes very obvious. Estimate resource requirements. Estimate. That would still be planning.
Yeah.
Update project management plan and project documents.
I think it's on monitoring or yeah, I think monitoring.
Or execution.
Yeah, either that.
Yeah, or execution.
No, that's monitoring.
Cool. It's probably counting how many times we've moved things.
Yeah, because I guess the updating, normally it's the monitoring part where we update the documents. to where it is, measure milestones. So I guess that's when, and that's in under monitoring and controlling. So that's where we would normally update a project as well when we've already achieved something.
Yeah.
That probably makes sense. Anyway, solicit customers' feedback. Oh, yeah, definitely closing, isn't it?
Closing it.
But don't you collect that as part of the, before you get the sign up? Or is it like a rolling type of feedback?
It took it,
Obviously
sorry.
not.
No, but you see, agile could be at anywhere in the stage or after the 2-week, a certain
Yeah.
period of time, or even in during iteration or a certain period. Whereas this is a waterfall approach, which normally feedbacks normally is towards the end during lessons learned, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. All right, assess what to purchase and create procurement documents.
Executing.
To purchase and
Execute.
create.
Yeah.
So that would be
Guess
planning.
what to purchase and create procurement document. Mm.
Planning.
Mm.
Perform quality audits and issue quality reports. Execution.
Control.
Monitoring.
Issue quality reports. I would have thought execution, but let's go. Monitoring.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. There you go. To execute. I guess it's the performance and issue ones there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Acquire final team and physical resources.
Execute.
Execute, yeah.
Oh, fox is acquire. Yeah. Confirm work is done to requirements. That'll be monitoring,
Closing.
Yeah.
isn't it? Oh, again, that's
Okay.
execution, isn't it?
Closing.
You reckon work is done to
Closing.
requirements? Closing.
Closing.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Oh, yeah. Confirm
That's
work
tricky
is
one,
done.
way worded
Yeah.
I think you're continually confirming that, you're meeting requirements as you
Yeah,
go through the project. Mm,
yes, yeah, that's true. That is tricky. It's tricky that it's in the closing bit, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. Normally by then you've delivered the project and the
Mm.
closing is a closeout, I think. Okay.
We can check that out with FICE and see what it thinks about that. Work is done to requirements. Because when it's in closing, it would normally entail the overall requirements, isn't it, of the project? Because that,
Yeah.
but by confirming, it can
Not-
also be an execution, isn't it? Or even monitoring.
Mhm.
Okay. We can check that out with FICE later. Take action to monitor and control the project.
Monitoring.
Yeah,
Monitoring.
that is very obvious. It's gotta be. Determine planning team. That would be planning.
Planning.
Culture and system. That's the
Chart,
isn't it?
charter development initiation.
Charter. Yeah, I would put it in initiation.
Yeah.
Plan.
Report on project performance. Is that during or after?
Yeah, let's try that. Let's try monitoring and controlling.
Probably execution, isn't it? No, actually, put that last one on the monitor.
Let's try that first. Yeah, could be execution.
No. Yeah.
It is. So execution also involves reporting.
Use and share project knowledge. Again, you know,
Execution.
yeah. It's like, yeah, is it that or is it a lessons learned at the closeout?
Share.
It could be either.
You reckon?
Oh,
Usage.
I
Share.
mean, took us not having to put it in the correct column.
Yeah.
You'd be doing it in both parts.
So that's in the under execution. Yeah. I guess it's because of that word use there. Project knowledge area is normally heavily involved in during planning. So when you've got that one planned up, then you're gonna start using and sharing that area or under execution stage. I don't know. Just a
That's
thought.
good. Okay.
Develop stakeholder register.
Initiation. Oh, initiation.
Think executing.
Execution.
Do you remember that? Update project
Update.
management
Oh,
plan
Yeah, I
project.
remember.
See,
So
there you
Remember?
got us again.
It's the same one,
And I-
monitoring.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? How we would think that is actually execution because it's that there. It's already in there. Let's shuffle that. Let's shuffle that up. Okay, gain final acceptance of the product.
Closing.
It has to be, isn't it?
Develop with each other. Initiate.
Oh,
Initiation.
mm.
Initiation.
You would hope the questions would just be like that.
Executing, yeah, executing.
Nope.
Oh no.
Where do you want to go?
Monitor. I think it's
Monitoring.
monitor.
Okay.
Monitor.
Approve for the check changes. Okay. Measure performance against other metrics in the project management plan. Measure performance against
Monitoring,
control.
monitoring control.
Yep. Gain final acceptance of the product. I think this is monitoring and control as well. I'll try. Nope.
I think it's closing.
Okay. Really. Create forecast is planning.
Yeah, planning. Yeah, create forecast.
No.
Oh no,
Hmm.
probably executing. Executing. Oh
No.
no.
Create forecast. Initiating? No.
Meeting.
Okay, this one is tricky. Monitoring and control, create forecast. Create WBS work breakdown. Planning, right?
That's will planning. Yeah. Planning. It's relative planning.
Determine whether quality plan and processes are correct and effective. Executing? Determine
Yeah.
whether, yeah, because the plan is already done. Hand off completed product.
Closing.
I think so. Good job. Develop assumption log. This is initiating. Yeah.
Initiating.
Acquire final team and physical resources. Acquire final team. Planning?
In physical
Or
resources on executing it.
Executing. Okay. Uncover initial requirements, assumptions, risk constraints, and existing agreements. Planning? No,
Yeah.
initiating. Uncover initial requirements.
Yeah, I think it's
What? Planning? Initiating.
Okay. Oh no.
Let's try. Yeah. Develop budget is planning. Right?
Yes.
Request changes is it's here. So monitoring and control.
It's executing. Oh,
See, it's there. Eh? That's tricky.
Oh,
Request changes. So it can be planning, it can be monitoring and control, is it?
Oh, there are
Take
two of
action.
them.
Take action to monitor and control the project, as the name says. Release resources as work is completed. Executing
Uh,
or monitoring and
yeah,
control?
this session's work is completed. It's probably closing.
I don't agree. I
Oh,
think this is I think this is executing.
oh,
Estimate activity durations and cost is planning, right?
that's planning. Yeah, that's planning.
Plan communications is planning.
Yeah,
I'm just conscious
planning.
of the time. It's 11. Estimate resource requirements. Planning.
Planning.
Request changes again.
Request change again. Probably planning.
We've got one in planning. We've got one in control and monitor. So see, it's
Oh,
that's is that a bug?
yeah. Oh, it's
Implement
in
implement only approved changes. Executing.
yeah.
Manage reserves. Executing. No.
Oh, controlling.
Okay. Use and share project knowledge.
Executing.
Use and share. Yeah, good job. Determine planning team is planning. Determine planning team.
Yeah, planning. Planning, yes, planning.
Monitor stakeholder engagement is executing, is it?
Yeah. Or is it monitoring and control?
Because monitor, yeah. Determine if variances warrant a corrective action or other change request.
Probably the monitoring and control.
Okay. Facilitate conflict resolution is executing.
That's executing, yeah. Executing.
Finalize all management plans is planning.
Planning, yeah, planning.
Whole team building activities, monitoring and control.
Executing.
Executing. Okay.
Yeah.
Execute work according to the project management plan is executing, right?
Executing.
I didn't wait for you. Develop realistic and sufficient project management plan and baseline is planning.
Planning.
And then confirm configuration compliance is executing.
Monitoring and control.
Nice. Determine quality standards, processes, and metrics.
Planning.
Quality standards. Nice.
Yeah.
That's it. Correct. Try. What does that mean? Check planning. Your accuracy is 70%. No, we failed. We need to get 80%.
That's only for the first iteration. So
True. Not bad, right? Okay. How do we get out of here then?
probably we just wait from
From Faiz. Now check
Yeah,
to see.
hi
Check,
guys.
Faiz.
So,
Hi.
so you completed, huh?
Yes.
That's awesome. So I will bring you back.
Yep.
So let me check with the other guys, and then we will come together in the same room soon.
Sure.
Cheers.
Measure performance against performance measure. Monitoring.
Yeah.
Perform integrated change control. That's execution, isn't it?
Monitoring.
Monitoring. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you would think it's execution, isn't it? Manage reserves. Execution.
No, controlling. Managing.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
The word managing.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. It looks like there is a lot of discussion going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vice, we've got a few things to, maybe there were a couple actually would like to
Discuss.
just get your thoughts around.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, when things are not quite clear, we have a little bit of discussion and talk. But there was one here under closing. You see here it says confirm work is done to requirements.
Yep.
And we wouldn't have guessed it under closing because wouldn't you confirm as part of your execution, sorry, monitoring and controlling, you know, and whenever you've got a particular requirement or task or activity? Because this one here, it means, it seems like it actually means the entire overall project requirements in that context.
Yeah, true. That's one thing. It is as per overall requirements of the project. And other thing is like this is handing over of the work to the customer or to the operations. So this is basically, yeah, when they are accepting the results.
Oh, okay, that's what it is confirming.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it purposely vague?
Sorry?
Is it purposely vague like that though?
Yeah.
Because part of monitoring and controlling is you know, confirming that requirements are being met throughout the project.
In monitoring and controlling, basically we control our scope where we follow our scope baseline and ensure that we are not deviating from scope baseline, but confirmation work is done. So work is only done when it is accepted by the client.
Right, that's
So the keyword there is work is done.
yeah,
Yes.
the keyword, yeah.
Yeah, true.
Okay, we've got another one there. The create forecasts. We sort of jumped from initiation to planning up to here and then landed on here.
True. So basically, there is one technique called earned value management. In earned value management, what we do is we monitor and control our different baselines, scope baseline, schedule and cost baseline, and based on those baselines and the calculations, we create our forecasts. This work is done while we are doing monitoring and controlling.
But would the forecasts actually help from the start, or is this just the forecasts?
No. I mean, it is
in progress.
Yes.
Right. And how you're going to proceed. Okay.
True. If your project is going to be completed on budget, within budget, or above budget, or you can say, yeah.
So I'm taking it in the future sessions when we go into more depth.
Yes.
This terminology will probably become a little more clear.
Yes.
True. Okay.
True. In fact, why we are doing this, because like it will give you an initial understanding when we will be covering all the in-depth concepts. But at this point of time, you already have some good idea that how overall this framework looks like, how normally work is being done, especially after completing 2 days session, we covered many different bits.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, the other group has already completed.
Okay.
If you are interested, we can go back to main room.
Yes, please.
Thank you for that, Graham.
So I'm trying to bring Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah, good. So, how was the game?
Fantastic.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
It was fun.
that was
yeah,
good.
and and obviously there would be a lot of discussion and there would be some confusion around this, but soon when we will go in depth, we will see that why a particular activity is in executing instead of monitoring and controlling, why change requests are everywhere instead of just monitoring and controlling or in executing. So one of the reason was like mm, changes could be requested anytime, even from start till end. If
Right.
changes are requested early, then it's okay. However, if changes are requested late during the execution, then they become like more costly, and their impact on the budget is budget and schedule both is more. Uh, I would recommend that if possible, just save this game, whatever you already played, because there is still uh, one bit is left that we need to do. Now, if possible, Myra and Pedro, you already completed your game. Can you share the screen?
I lost it, Vice.
You lost. You.
Yeah, I accidentally pressed something and then I can't go back.
Okay, that's all right. So Myra and Pedro, they completed the game. Uh, Other aspirants can also complete the game if they want. Um, what happened is, if you looked on that game, all other went green, but planning was still blue, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I took a screenshot. I can show you if you want.
Yeah,
Okay, hold on. Share. Yep.
yeah,
You guys see?
yeah, we can see.
Mm.
So here you can clearly see that all other went green once you put the right activities in the right column. However, even after putting the right activities into the planning column, still it is blue. It means that you put the activities properly. However, uh, all other process groups, the activities are independent from each other. But in planning, the activities are depending on each other, or in other words, they should be in sequence. For example, if I look on your screen, Myra, and the first activity that is being showed is gain formal approval of the plan. So in planning, normally that's not the first activity we do, isn't it?
Yep.
Similarly, after getting the formal approval of the plan, we don't develop project scope or determine critical path or go back iteration, so on and so forth. So it means that in planning, the activities are in a sequence. In fact, there could be few questions where it is asked from you that, okay, after developing the after creating the network diagram, what else what needs to be done? Okay, so in that case it could be developing a realistic schedule. uh, there could be different options and you have to choose one of them, and to me it looks like developing the schedule is the answer. But if other options are given to you, for example, finalize procurement strategy, create change and configuration management plans, they would be wrong answers. So tomorrow what we will do in the start, tomorrow mean on Monday, in the start, you can practice in your free time if possible. Uh, in the start, we will try to sequence the planning activities.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, that was like the last session of the week. I hope you enjoyed. Any questions, just feel free to ask.
Okay, thanks, Vice. It's been actually a really good 4 nights of sessions, very helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Grace.
Yes, really enjoyed it. Is there anything
Yeah.
that we can do to prepare, or is there, not trying to give us homework at all, but is there anything you would recommend?
So if you really want to do it, like just try to get your PMI membership, try to download PMBOK, and try to go through first 3 chapters if possible. Otherwise, if you don't want to download PMBOK, you can just go through first 3 chapters of the learning resource book that I provided you.
Thank you.
Vice, you know how you have one of your slides in the PowerPoint presentation was the diagram of
Yeah.
the processes.
Yeah.
Can you please send that through as well to us?
Today I
Or-
think today I sent it.
Yeah. We have.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about this one?
I'm talking about the tonight's presentation of the initiation, planning, those
Yes.
5
Uh,
processes.
yeah. So let me.
I don't
share.
think that is in the. I don't think that's in the PDF files.
Yeah. So what I did is I send it separately. So are you talking
Okay.
about this one?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I did is I send you 2 files. One file is where these processes and how they are interlinked with each other are shown. Also, I send you an A0 sheet. On that A0 sheet,
Yeah.
not only the name of the processes are given, inputs, tools and techniques and outputs are given in the same format as shown in this
Okay.
slide. So that is very thorough, very detailed, would be helpful for you.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, most welcome, Grace. Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Good job. Have a good
Yeah.
weekend, everyone.
Yeah, catch up
Thanks,
on
Tanya.
Monday
Have a
then.
good
Guys.
weekend.
Bye.
See you
Monday.
Monday.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.